Hey, for this video, just sit back. I'm going to share 3 stories from an acquaintance, a story from my own life, and a story from a mentor. I hope they encourage you. I hope they give you insight and inspiration along your creative journey. This first story is 12 years in the making. I just found this out yesterday as of filming. An acquaintance that I knew, I just found out basically made it big in the music industry. And it's kind of shocking. So when I was in film school, I attended college and I met this guy who had a younger brother who was into music. And I remember thinking, wow, that's so cool. He's into music. He's young, maybe he's 20 or so. I was 18 or 19. I was wanting to do music and was getting into writing and recording music as a hobby. That's what this guy was doing. He was taking it very serious. And so I wanted to support his music. So I remember my friend, I think he talked about it or posted on social media that his younger brother had released like his first studio 4-track EP. And I was like, I want to buy this. This was kind of before the streaming era and Spotify and all that. So I bought his EP on iTunes. I still have the receipt for that. I still have those 4 songs in my Apple Music library to this day, right? I purchased them. I own these songs. And so it was cool to just support this guy who I was like, man, he's making cool music. It wasn't anything that was blowing my mind. It wasn't any music that was, going to change the game, but it was good. It was quality music. I remember in that time, I was hanging out with some friends. We were probably hanging out in my apartment. And I was playing music in the background, as I often do. And I was playing some songs, and I was like, oh, hey, guys, this is our friend's younger brother, Sam. This is his music. And I had a friend named Nate who ended up going on a crazy villain arc, like ended up being a terrible person. He was like, did you buy this? And I was like, yeah, like I wanted to support him. He's like, why? Why did you spend money on this? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's not like he's a professional artist or that he's like going to be famous one day. Well, why did you buy this music? I could never understand that mindset, especially as young artists and, people who want to be filmmakers one day. That mindset is just never something that I've had. So I don't know, I've listened to that EP off and on over those years and kind of forgot about, I moved back home. I kind of forgot about my friend and his younger brother. But I was listening to a playlist recently and was kind of in a discovery mode of new artists. It was kind of like a folk playlist. I was listening through and, some artists on there I was aware of. And so maybe I would click on their profile and listen to some of their top songs and just was in a discovery mode with music. I'd finished out the playlist and there was a artist that just drew me. Like the name of the song and his album cover, the song cover, I was just drawn in and I'd listened to the whole playlist. It was kind of long, so it took me a couple of days to kind of listen through it. And I was like, I'm really drawn in by this. And I remember listening to the song, but I don't really remember the song itself. So I clicked on his profile and I was scrolling through his artist profile on Spotify. And I see at the bottom a sort of artist's playlist. And it's by a profile. Okay, so not the actual artist, but like a user profile on Spotify. And it was Sam. I won't use his last name. But Sam, I was like, I know a Sam. I know that guy. Is this the same Sam that I knew from like 12 years ago? And so I clicked on it and was just kind of making this connection. I'm like, this might be the same Sam that I know. So I searched his artist name on Instagram. And I found him. I'm like, this is the younger brother of the guy I went to film school with. This is crazy. He has over 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. He tours regularly. Like, he is a full-time musician. This is incredible. So that was a cool discovery, but it gets better. I'm scrolling on this guy's Instagram and I see a post that he made with a picture of Noah Kahan. Noah Kahan is a folk artist, just put out like the biggest album of the year. And I click on it and he's like, hey, this guy Sam is like, hey, it was so great working with Noah on these new songs. It was great to be there in the studio as an engineer to help him compose and write lyrics, right? Like, and he mentioned some of the songs and I'm like, wait, this guy is a composer and an engineer for one of the biggest albums of the year. And it blew my mind. I went on a whole rabbit trail. You're able to, on Spotify, you can see sort of song credits. He has 8 credits on this album as either, like I said, a lyricist. He co-wrote some of these songs. He engineered some of these songs. And it was just such an inspiration to see someone who had started out just making songs in their home studio to now working with the biggest artist, within their genre, and how that's just going to open doors for him. And I don't know the guy. I'm trying to remember if I even ever met him. It's possible that I met him once in person. He doesn't know me, but the fact that I still have the receipt for purchasing this guy's iTunes EP in 2015. It's so cool. It's so cool to me. And I wanted to share that story with you to encourage you. Wherever you are at in your artistry, there really isn't anything comparable to a decade of hard work, a decade of persistence. I think that's the lesson that we can learn from that. All right, so story number 2 is about me. Last week, I had the opportunity to perform music in front of a bunch of high school students for an all-night event where, basically my church was putting on an event for the youth, the high school students, and they wanted me to come in and do some music. Now, I have done live hip-hop performances in the past. I've performed my own original songs, but it's been about 5 years since I've done this. And so the request was for me to come back and do that. And I was hesitant on that part. And so my first response was, hey, let me do a DJ set. Like, let me put together fun songs that people know, that people can dance to and just have a moment and have a good time with their friends at this event. It would be about 10 o'clock, 10 to 11, we'll be playing these songs. And I was like, it's going to be better than me trying to stand up there for 30 minutes and perform songs that I have to figure out if I still have them memorized. And I don't even know if I still have it. Like, do I still have the skill to perform these songs? And so I was like, let me do this DJ set. So I was working through it. I had just about a short time to put this all together. And I did decide, okay, I could do 3 songs in the middle. And I didn't want to do more than that. I didn't want to over commit. So I picked 3 songs that I felt like are the best ones that I knew well, and started just putting the instrumentals back on and practicing them. And as I was driving in the car, just practicing. And for a little bit, I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't remember the lyrics. But as I kept going, the lyrics would come to me little by little. Anyways, I get to this event and everyone is super pumped. The students are really excited. So I throw some of these songs on. There are these moments where I'm playing like mashups of like a secular beat, like a Kendrick or a Kanye, mixed with like a Christian rap lyric, and it's like this cool mashup moment because the students are, maybe recognizing the beat, but then the lyrics come in, and, it was just a really fun moment. So then halfway through I said, hey, I just encourage them in this idea of like, hey, like God has made each of you and He's given you unique gifts. And so if you have a passion for music or anything like that, like pursue it. I said, I have had a hobby with music and, writing original hip hop songs. Could I perform some of them for you? And they were like, yes. Okay. So we get to the first song. It's a high energy, rapidy rap song. And I start going and it's a fast flow. And there's this moment where the kids all, it's the beats playing. It's like, okay. And I start rapping and the kids are like, wait, this guy can rap. And I had never felt in all the times I performed live, all my early 20s doing this thing, the energy was the most I'd ever experienced from a live performance. And so that was a cool moment. I did my songs and then we brought it back to some fun DJ hip hop mixes and stuff like that. And it was just a really high energy night, a highlight of the night. And so, yeah, I just share that story. It's a similar in a way to my friend. Just what I got to experience was the joy of this creativity, even the joy of lyrics that I had written. Some of those lyrics I'd written like almost 10 years prior. And to be able to be performing them after not performing any original music for 5 years was just such a fun experience. It was so cool to just be able to express that part of my creativity. And so, yeah, I think that goes to show, I would definitely say there's a skill set there. A lot of times on this channel, I just talk about creativity and just, hey, do it for the fun of it. Do it because you enjoy it. But there is something to be said about a skill set and working on that over time that I think is important. And so my ability to kind of pull that in and funny enough, even in, this is getting into the minutia of like performance, but I was having new insights as I was practicing these songs. I was having new insights on like my ability to control my breath and do breath control and like when to pause and when to, kind of pull back. And I had always struggled with that in the past. And this moment was a lot easier. Maybe I'm healthier. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there was just wisdom, I guess, in being a little bit older and being able to represent this art, this creative side of myself that I had put together so many years ago when I was much younger. So that was a cool thing. It was just a cool moment to be confident and just to own that and to have fun and to be appreciated by high school students. Like who doesn't want to be liked by cool Gen Z people, right? Okay. All right, this third and final story, it's more of an observation of one of my mentors, someone who I look up to. He has been in sort of the creative spaces for a lot longer than I have. He's older than me. So he just has a lot of experience, and he can look back on his life and go, oh, I remember when things were like this. I remember dealing with this situation. And he's just has a lot of experience in different areas. And what I appreciate about him is he is a small business owner. And he has so many different ideas of what he is interested in, what he's passionate about. And even looking back over his life, he can point to different moments of things that he was passionate about, whether it was a creative project or a skill set that he honed in on, or a specific niche that he was targeting and pursuing as like a small business. So many different facets, and yet he doesn't let that like control or change his current moment and current interests. He's willing to just follow an idea. He's willing to not just follow, but like invest and work hard and pursue diligently a creative idea that he thinks could either work as a business or at the very least is just fun to explore and is satisfying. Sort of asking this question of like, if you could do anything, what would you do? If people would just pay you to do whatever, what would it be? And he is very honest about those aspects of what he's passionate about. And so I just really appreciated him. Sort of, I always had this mantra when I was a teenager of like, I have too many dreams to follow them all. It's this feeling of not knowing, well, what creative path do I pursue or choose? And this guy, this mentor, is someone who I look up to because as soon as I try to pigeonhole him, like figure out, oh, this is like your thing, he introduces me to a side of himself that's like totally different and totally unique. And so it's just encouraging. I think for us as creatives, we can be encouraged by someone who is willing to pursue things passionately and with like a pace, like an urgency almost, a willingness to show up for themselves and to not deny what they're interested in. And maybe it's for a season, or there's a time where you say, okay, that's a cool idea, but that's not the right time. There's wisdom that you have to apply to that. But I think as creatives, we can often just pick a path and we feel stuck in that. But the great thing about creativity is it changes with us as we age and as we develop. So yeah, with all three of these stories, I hope you are encouraged that your inner creative is able to flourish. And I say this a lot, but you are the only you, and we need you. We need your art and creativity. You are only gonna create the art that you are gonna create. And so we desperately need your art and creativity in this time. My name is Tristan. I hope, like I said, that you're encouraged. That's what I'm passionate about, is helping creatives unlock and understand their unique God-given gifts and show up in their creativity. Thank you so much for watching, and stay creative.